saying to whom something belongs. In English, when we express possession or ownership, we do so by using apostrophe S after a person's name or a noun referring to a person or a thing. So the apostrophe S after Maria lets us know that the relationship there is, it's Maria's mom. The mom belongs to Maria. Same with my dad's family and his grandma's house. The house is owned by his grandma. Or if you look at the Calvin and Hobbes picture here, Hobbes is Calvin's tiger, and Calvin is Hobbes' boy. In Spanish, the way of thinking about this is quite different. And like some other concepts that we've learned about this year, this is not that intellectually challenging to grasp. What's going to be challenging is remembering to think this way, because you're fighting your English brain, your English way of thinking. So whereas we may say Maria's mom, in Spanish you're going to be saying the mom of Maria. My dad's family, the family of my dad. And his grandma's house, the house of his grandma. So now let's take a look and see how that would work exactly in Spanish. We've got a formula or a pattern for you to follow to express possession. The first thing that you'll have is one of the words for the. Remember, there's 4 different ways to say the because we're describing masculine things that are singular, feminine things that are singular, and then feminine and masculine things that are plural. So make sure that the agrees with whatever it is that that person owns. Next, whatever it is that is someone's, followed by the word of, de, which also means from, but does mean of as well, and then the name or title of the person who owns or has the thing. So for Maria's mom, mom is a feminine word, so we'll say la madre. You could also say la mamá de María. My dad's family, the family of my dad. Familia ends in an a, it's a feminine word. La familia de again, mi padre o mi papá. His grandma's house. La casa de su abuela. Her aunt's cat. So the cat of her aunt. El gato de su tía. Now, if you think back to earlier this year, we had a contraction, and that contraction was when the word a, to, was followed by the word el, meaning the, a and el became al. So if you're going to say something like, I'm going to the game, you don't say voy a el partido, you contract them, voy al partido. Well, in Spanish, when there is one other contraction, and that is the word del, when de is followed by el. So how does that relate to talking about to whom things belong? It's going to come up because you are using the word de to indicate it is of a certain person. And sometimes it's going to be followed by the word el, meaning the. For example, the teacher's son, you're really saying the son of the teacher. And if it's a male teacher, notice what's going to happen. El hijo de el profesor. Well, we have to contract those. Contractions in Spanish are obligatory. You have to do them. It's not like English where you can say don't or do not. So de él is just much easier to say if you combine them and say del. El hijo del profesor. Mr. Grimm's kids. So here, you're like, okay, los hijos de Señor Grimm. Why does she have this in the section about making the contraction del? Well, that's because in Spanish, you must put a the in front of a title, so Mr., Mrs., Doctor, Pastor, President, when speaking about that person. So not to Mr. Grimm, but if you're speaking about Mr. Grimm. So really what you're going to be saying is the kids of the Mr. Grimm. And Mr. Grimm's a guy, so the that's going to go in front of Señor is el. And once again, instead of saying los hijos de el Señor, we're just going to say del. Mrs. Versluis's son. The son of Mrs. Versluis. El hijo de, now remember, I'm a woman, so you would not say el señora. You'd say la señora Versluis. And here we'd have no contraction because it is not el that follows the de. You can easily hear where de ends and la begins. El hijo de la señora Versluis. Ahora, chicos, un poco de práctica. Paco is Oscar's cousin. So I'm going to give you a second to think, how would you express that in English words, but with Spanish thinking? You should have expressed it as, Paco is the cousin of Oscar. En español, muchachos, Paco es el primo, because he's a guy, de Oscar. We're using es here and not está because es comes from ser, and ser is used to talk about relationships. And if you can't remember all the reasons for using ser, just remember, think of the star in the sky. If it's not emotions, if it's not a physical condition, and if it's not location, then it's got to be a form of ser that you use. Número 2. Oscar and Pepe are Barbara's sons. Spanish thinking, English words. Oscar and Pepe are the sons of Barbara. Entonces, en español, Oscar y Pepe. We can't say es here because es is. So we need a form of ser again, but now the they form. Son los hijos de Bárbara. Número 3. I'm going to let you do this one on your own, and I'll write in the answer in just a few minutes. All right, Ileana is Oscar's crazy aunt. What you really need to say is, Ileana is the aunt crazy of Oscar. Ileana. Es, once again, we're talking about a relationship. La, because it's an aunt, female. Tia. Loco is how you say crazy, and we're talking about his aunt, so loca de Oscar. All right, now try número 4 on your own. Oscar's brothers are sick. So you should have come up with the brothers of Oscar are sick. Los hermanos de Oscar, being sick, that's a physical condition, están enfermos.